Luis, thank you for joining me.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
For sure. I mean, dude, you have one inspiring story. You've inspired me. Luis is an amateur boxer here in Albany, New York, but he has lost an incredible 150 pounds. And got a little visual up here. Sometimes 150 kind of goes over our head. And this is a lot of weight, bro.
No, it definitely is. And to be honest, it's quite shocking seeing it in this form because most times when people go on a weight loss journey, they go based off a scale and they forgot the number they were like a month ago, or they'll go based off what size shirt or clothes they're wearing. So seeing it this way, I quite honestly could not believe that I actually was holding this up on my body. So it was quite a journey.
Well, my ultimate question down the line is going to be, where did this guy go? This is a whole guy right here.
You know what? To be honest, I wish I had an answer for you. I just don't know. You know, it was so far it's been 2 years. So I don't know where this guy was. The last time I've seen this guy was probably in old pictures.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about what your current job is other than amateur boxer?
So I work for United as one of their aircraft maintenance technicians. I work on their planes, routine maintenance, scheduled maintenance, anything that they require for that plane to go on for flights. And also things that we might need that are more major repair or anything like an engine swap, things like that. So anything that plane needs, me and my team usually go in and we fix it, and we try to make sure we get flights out on time so, people get where they need to be.
Wow, that's amazing. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your journey, most notably how the weight got on?
All right, so like I said, I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas. While I was there, that's when I first started getting my first job, and it turned out I was really good at cooking. I quite honestly, and believe it or not, I thought I was going to be a chef growing up. That later changed down in my life, but it got me into the door for a lot of great jobs, a lot of great opportunities. It got me into some amazing kitchens, working out. From there, I actually got hired at a very exclusive country club out in Atlanta, Georgia, called the Cherokee Country Club. But that part of my journey, part of my life, and me being in restaurants, it was part of the reason I actually got a lot of the weight. I gained weight because I was just always surrounded by food. It was somewhat of a turbulent life in my time in my life, and I went to food for comfort, for, just so I would feel better, because anytime I ate something, you just get that rush of endorphins that this is better, this is nicer than, what reality was for me. And from there, I just kept going for several years. And then, like you said, that's where the weight gain came from. But, the big part of me moving around, it was just based off what job I got next. Like I said, I moved from Texas to Georgia because I got picked up by a country club. And from there, I still stayed in kitchens because it helped me pay for school while I was in Jersey. I got a job in Jersey. I was going to school at the same time. I was making good enough money where I could go to school and not worry about student debt. And
Excuse me.
Then COVID happened. It shut down the whole restaurant industry to a point where people really wouldn't dine in, and I wasn't working in the kind of establishment where it was more of a to-go kind of thing.
Okay.
So I got a job working at the Catskills, literally doing maintenance for a little hotel out there, and then I finally got my license. I was done with school, got my license to work on aircraft through the FAA, moved here to Albany, and that's where I've been since then.
That's great. So you mentioned a little bit about this connection. So food as sort of pacifier, but at the same time kind of became an enemy of yours in a way because of the weight gain.
Yeah.
And tell me about that journey. So tell me a little bit about like a day in the life of Luis as you're moving through that. You're gaining a little bit of weight.
Yeah. No, so I think a day in my life and like that, it was just the weird hours I would have to work. It was also just me being exhausted, being tired after work. Once you're cooking all day for other people, you don't really want to cook for yourself. So the quickest meals weren't always like the best meals for you. So it would be a lot of comfort food, a lot of junk food. Hell, it would be a lot of fast food because I do not want to cook anymore. I would work very much early morning to very late at night. So even in the hours that I was working, I wasn't also eating the best food because family meal or like the food that us at the restaurant would eat would be something quick, something fried, something that we can just put on a plate, feed these guys, and they can go back into prepping and getting ready for the day that we would have to work.
Well, tell me a little bit about the quantity of food that you're eating. Are you over consuming? And
no, I would definitely say I was over consuming food. Again, like not only was it just there to feed me and to make sure I had energy for the day, I also used it as a coping mechanism for, at that time, I would say depression, because it was just one of the quickest and easiest things I could get to. And one of the big things in the restaurant industry is that a lot of cooks, a lot of chefs have vices just to keep going in that industry, depending on how high stakes it is, or just how much of the pressure is, because you really don't get a day off, and if you do, it's not on a day off with family or with other people that you can make a community with. It was just constantly always being around food, so I would always just eat for comfort or just for like a quick second, because it just made me feel a lot better, depending on what the environment was that day. So I would never say it was like a healthy amount.
so I'm not hearing a lot of part of your routine was exercise. So I guess you weren't boxing yet. You weren't. Were you even going to a gym?
No, at that time, literally, quite honestly, my job was my life. Like I said before, I thought I was going to be a chef. So I always was working there. I was being there. I was learning from other chefs because I thought, okay, if I learn from this guy, or I make a connection with this chef, he'll probably get me connected somewhere else bigger and better. And also, it was just so highly demanding, especially like a place like a country club, because these guests not only pay fees, they expect a certain caliber of quantity of food.
Sure.
So it was also that kind of like feeling of myself where I didn't want to disappoint a guest by bringing something that was inferior to them, because I felt like, if they joined this club and they thought that we were good enough for us to feed them, we should give them the best, because they were paying, of course, for the best. But at that time, literally, there was no time for the gym. I would say, yeah, I could have thrown in 30 minutes for a walk or a run before work, but at that time, I just felt like I was too tired and too exhausted. I'm like, I just don't have time. So I always made those excuses. Oh, I don't have time. No one else that I know that works with me goes to the gym, or X, Y, and Z. And I never really made the effort of going to the gym because, to be honest, it wasn't literally in my mind. I really didn't even think about me gaining weight until certain things happened down my life. Like, I would need different clothes. I would feel like, why am I breathing so hard going up and down the stairs? And things like that, like kind of starting me clicking that, I've gained weight and I'm feeling unhealthy, didn't come until more later down, where I had to like face these facts, if I just to say. So, my physical exercise was mostly just like standing in a kitchen, just standing, moving and walking around. That was about it. After that, I would go home, I would crash, eat something, I would get on PlayStation or Xbox, just nothing that would involve me being very physical, to be honest.
Yeah. So what was the time element between when you first started gaining weight to when something must have happened? There came a point when you just decided, I need to do something. So how long was it between when you're gaining weight and really noticing, that something's really wrong?
Yeah.
to that point?
So I would say I probably started noticing it around when I started turning 21. Because, at that time, you become a little more social. You go out with friends. You're now legally old enough to go drink. So you're more in those social aspects, and you start and that's when I started self-comparing myself to other people that were out at these places. And I'm like, wow, how am I like the biggest guy at the bar right now? Like, I'm the youngest guy. I'm maybe one of the youngest guys here, but I'm also the biggest. And I saw people that were definitely older than me that looked in a lot great, better shape than I was. And I just started realizing that. And, through that time, still, it wasn't enough for my brain to click that we're going down a really bad path. I would just say, you know what, they probably have great genetics, or they have all these, or they have time to go to the gym, they're not working my kind of hours and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it literally didn't click for me that I didn't want to be that big anymore until one day, literally, I was working like I said, I was working doing maintenance at a hotel at the Catskills, where I would get invited to go hiking or go mountain climbing or go skiing, snowboarding, all these outdoor events that require, physical activity. And I would say no, not because I didn't want to go, but because I knew that I wouldn't be able to last with them. Like, I would fall so far behind. I did one hike with a group of friends up there, and I was struggling just to go uphill after going down to a waterfall.
Wow.
And they were literally waiting for me for what I thought was like forever, but it was really more like 5 minutes. But by the time I reached up to them, I was breathing really hard. And I think the very next morning, I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I just do not want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Yes.
Tell us, like, at your heaviest, how much were you?
I started here at Shots at 310 pounds.
310. And what would you say, and what do you weigh today?
Actually, I weighed myself this morning. I weigh 170 right now.
170. Wow.